If this is the first time you're coming to Elk County to view elk, I'd highly recommend that the first stop that you would make is be here on top of Winslow Hill at the Pennsylvania Game Commission's elk viewing area. This is a great opportunity to kind of get oriented to the area. We've got a display inside of a building. There's some antlers and things that you can kind of familiarize yourself with elk. We have a representative from the Game Commission that you can answer some basic questions about elk, and it's just a great place to start. This person can point you in the right direction on where's a good place to see elk, where elk have been hanging out in the last few days. There's a beautiful map here of all the state-owned land, the private-owned land, so you can go view elk somewhere that you're going to have minimal impacts on the local community and the local residents. There's really basically two ways to view elk while you're here. There's one, obviously, with a vehicle. The top of Winslow Hill is a beautiful place, and the roads are kind of set up that you can drive around and you'll see plenty of elk from your vehicle on the roads. Keep in mind, though, that if you are going to stop to get out and take a minute to look at elk, we'd ask highly that you don't park in people's driveways, you don't pull off the road into people's yards, certainly don't block the roadways. One of the biggest problems we have on Winslow Hill in the fall is one bull shows up in the wrong place and everybody stops to get out and get a photo, and before you know it, nobody can pass on the road. We got vehicles stopped on both sides, so please don't do that. The other way you can view elk is simply by walking. There's lots and lots of state-owned land between the Bureau of Forestry and the Pennsylvania Game Commission here within the elk range, and you can orient yourself, like I said earlier, with the map and ask the representative, you know, where's a place that I can park and walk on state land and go view elk. And we've got food plots and we've got elk areas anywhere from 300 yards behind a gate to 2 miles behind a gate, depending on what level of exertion or how much you want to hike. You know, those two ways are excellent ways to view elk. And again, I just can't stress enough, while you're here, respect these local folks. And you know, when you come to the elk range, the first elk that you see, your reaction is, you know, stop. These elk are not going to run, especially in this area where we have it shut down to hunting, and it's basically set aside for tourists. Don't panic. If you see an elk, you do not have to stop, park your vehicle in the middle of the road, and get out of the vehicle and leave the doors open. These elk aren't going to go anywhere. Once you see an elk, if you do want to stop, go somewhere down the road where you can get off safely. And again, I must mention, don't pull in people's driveways. And then get out and walk back and take photographs. You know, when you are out viewing elk, especially while on foot, let's say you're out on the state forest and you're hiking and you come across an elk. You know, the first thing you got to understand is these are wild animals. They're not white-tailed deer. They don't have that fleeing response that a white-tailed deer has. They are an elk. Their behavior is a little different. So don't take the fact that this elk just looks at you and then maybe goes back to feeding that, you know, they're tame and that you can approach a little closer. Give them the respect that they're due.